The night everything exploded started outside a crowded Atlanta club where tension between 50 Cent and the family of T.I. had already been building for weeks. Fans were packed outside the venue, cameras flashing, music blasting from cars, and rumors moving faster than the crowd itself. People were whispering that King Harris had been furious after hearing comments that 50 Cent allegedly made about the Harris family earlier that day. By the time 50 Cent stepped out of the club surrounded by his security team, the atmosphere had already turned electric. Witnesses say King Harris was already outside, pacing back and forth while several friends tried to calm him down. But according to people who were there, King Harris looked like someone who had already decided the night wasn't going to end peacefully. As 50 Cent walked toward his black SUV, someone in the crowd shouted his name. Cameras turned, phones went up, and suddenly King Harris stepped forward. People nearby say King Harris shouted directly at 50 Cent, accusing 50 Cent of disrespecting his father T.I. and the entire Harris family. The argument escalated instantly. Security guards tried to step between them, but witnesses say King Harris kept moving closer, refusing to back down. 50 Cent, known for never staying quiet during confrontations, reportedly fired back with his own words, mocking King Harris and bringing up the long history of rap feuds surrounding T.I. The moment those words left 50 Cent's mouth, people in the crowd realized this was no longer just an argument. According to several bystanders, King Harris suddenly lunged forward, catching 50 Cent completely off guard. Security rushed in immediately, but chaos had already erupted. People started shouting and pushing as cameras shook wildly, trying to capture what was happening. Witnesses claim King Harris managed to land a brutal strike during the struggle before security finally separated everyone. What shocked people the most was the reaction from 50 Cent himself. Instead of continuing the argument, 50 Cent suddenly stepped back, appearing to be in visible pain. Several witnesses said 50 Cent bent over while his security team rushed around him, forming a wall to block cameras and the crowd. Within seconds, the situation became even more serious. Members of 50 Cent's team began yelling for medical help while trying to move him quickly toward the waiting vehicle. People close to the scene claim 50 Cent was struggling to stand straight, and the expression on his face made it clear something had gone terribly wrong during the altercation. Meanwhile, King Harris continued shouting while friends held him back, and several people claim King Harris kept repeating that 50 Cent deserved what happened after disrespecting T.I. and the Harris family. The crowd had completely lost control at that point, with fans screaming, filming, and speculating about what exactly had just happened. Minutes later, flashing lights filled the street as police cars arrived. Officers immediately began separating everyone involved while paramedics rushed toward 50 Cent's vehicle. According to witnesses, 50 Cent was helped into an ambulance after briefly speaking with paramedics. The seriousness of the situation became clear when the ambulance left the scene at high speed with sirens blaring. News spread through the crowd instantly that 50 Cent had suffered a private injury during the fight. Although details were unclear at first, people near the scene claimed 50 Cent looked like he was in severe pain as paramedics worked quickly to stabilize him before transporting him to the hospital. While the ambulance disappeared into the night, police officers turned their attention to King Harris. Witnesses say officers questioned King Harris for several minutes, while people around continued filming everything. King Harris reportedly argued loudly with officers, insisting that 50 Cent started the confrontation with disrespectful words about T.I. and the Harris family. But police seemed focused on determining exactly what happened during the physical altercation. Eventually, officers placed King Harris in handcuffs, leading him toward a patrol car, while the crowd erupted again with shouting and phone cameras flashing from every direction. At the same time, news of the incident quickly reached T.I. himself. Sources close to T.I. say the rapper was furious when he heard that his son King Harris had been involved in a violent confrontation with 50 Cent. Friends claim T.I. immediately began making calls trying to understand what happened outside the club. But as more details emerged, including the report that 50 Cent had been rushed to the ICU with a serious private injury, the situation became even more explosive. People close to the Harris family say T.I. was deeply worried about his son's legal situation while also trying to deal with the massive attention the incident was already getting online. Meanwhile, at the hospital, doctors were reportedly examining 50 Cent while his team remained extremely tight-lipped about his condition. Sources claim the injury he suffered during the altercation required immediate medical attention, which is why paramedics transported him directly to intensive care for observation. Fans began flooding social media with questions about 50 Cent, trying to find out whether the rapper was stable. Some posts claimed 50 Cent was already speaking with doctors, while others suggested the injury was more serious than initially believed. With no official statement yet released, speculation continued growing every minute. Back outside the club, police continued questioning witnesses while King Harris remained in custody. Officers reportedly wanted to know exactly what happened in the moments before the fight erupted between King Harris and 50 Cent. Several witnesses insisted the argument started with heated words about T.I., while others claimed King Harris appeared angry long before 50 Cent even stepped outside. Regardless of how the confrontation started, investigators were now trying to determine whether criminal charges would follow the shocking incident that left 50 Cent hospitalized and King Harris in handcuffs. As the night came to an end, one thing was already clear. The feud involving 50 Cent, T.I., and King Harris had just exploded into something far bigger than anyone expected. With 50 Cent in the ICU, King Harris under arrest, and T.I. scrambling to respond, the entire hip-hop world suddenly found itself watching the same question unfold. What really happened during those chaotic moments outside that Atlanta club, and what would happen next once the full story finally came out? The hours after the shocking fight outside the Atlanta club quickly turned into a media storm, as news spread that 50 Cent had been rushed to the hospital with a serious private injury. Inside the emergency wing, doctors and nurses moved quickly around 50 Cent, who had been taken directly to intensive care for observation. Members of 50 Cent's team stood outside the room, refusing to answer questions while security blocked reporters from getting anywhere near the ICU floor. The tension inside the hospital was heavy, because no one yet knew how serious 50 Cent's injury actually was. According to hospital staff, 50 Cent arrived in visible pain, barely speaking as paramedics transferred him from the stretcher to a hospital bed. Doctors immediately began examining the injury that allegedly happened during the fight with King Harris. Sources claim the medical team wanted to make sure there was no internal damage, which is why 50 Cent was placed under constant observation. For a man known worldwide for his toughness and street reputation, seeing 50 Cent in that condition shocked even the hospital staff who recognized him. While doctors focused on stabilizing 50 Cent, chaos was also unfolding at the police station across the city. King Harris had been brought in by officers shortly after the fight, and the situation inside the interrogation room quickly became tense. 50 witnesses say King Harris looked angry and frustrated, repeatedly insisting that the entire confrontation started because 50 Cent disrespected his father, T.I. According to people familiar with the questioning, King Harris kept repeating that he only reacted after hearing insults directed at T.I. and the Harris family. Police investigators, however, wanted a very clear timeline of what happened. Officers asked King Harris multiple times to explain exactly how the physical fight began and what actions he took during the confrontation, with 50 Cent sources claim King Harris admitted that he confronted 50 Cent face-to-face outside the club, but he argued that emotions were already running high because of ongoing tensions between 50 Cent and T.I. Even though King Harris continued defending himself, officers were carefully reviewing every detail because the injury that 50 Cent suffered had turned the incident into a potentially serious legal matter. Not long after the arrest, T.I. himself reportedly arrived at the police station after hearing the news about his son. Witnesses inside the building say T.I. looked furious but also deeply concerned. As soon as T.I. entered the station, he began speaking with lawyers and officers trying to understand exactly what charges King Harris might face. According to sources close to the Harris family, T.I. kept asking the same question again and again. How badly was 50 Cent hurt, and what exactly did King Harris do during the fight? While T.I. dealt with the legal situation surrounding King Harris, the internet had already exploded with rumors. Videos from the crowd outside the club started appearing on social media, showing the moment when King Harris and 50 Cent began shouting at each other. Although the footage didn't clearly show the exact moment of the strike, viewers could see security rushing in while 50 Cent suddenly stepped back in pain. Fans around the world began debating what really happened during the fight between King Harris and 50 Cent, with some blaming King Harris for losing control and others claiming 50 Cent provoked the confrontation. Back at the hospital, doctors continued monitoring 50 Cent carefully. Sources say 50 Cent eventually spoke briefly with medical staff, confirming that the injury occurred during the struggle with King Harris outside the club. Even though 50 Cent was stable, doctors wanted to keep him under observation for several more hours before allowing him to leave intensive care. Members of 50 Cent's team stayed close by, occasionally stepping outside the room to take phone calls as the news about the fight continued spreading across the hip-hop world. Meanwhile, inside the police station, the tension between T.I. and investigators continued building. Reports suggest T.I. was frustrated that King Harris had been placed in handcuffs while details about 50 Cent's condition were still unclear. Lawyers representing the Harris family were already discussing possible legal strategies, arguing that the situation should be treated as a heated confrontation rather than a criminal attack. But investigators insisted they needed to finish reviewing witness statements before making any decisions about charges. As the night turned into early morning, detectives began collecting statements from several people who witnessed the fight between King Harris and 50 Cent. Some witnesses claimed King Harris appeared extremely angry even before 50 Cent stepped outside the club. Others insisted that 50 Cent provoked the confrontation by mocking T.I. in front of the crowd. With conflicting stories coming from nearly every direction, investigators realized it would take time to piece together the full truth about what happened between King Harris and 50 Cent. Meanwhile, the hip-hop community was watching everything unfold in real time. Fans, bloggers, and industry insiders all began sharing their opinions about the shocking clash between Cent, King Harris, and T.I. Some artists publicly called for both sides to calm down, warning that the situation could easily spiral into a larger feud if tensions continued rising. Others simply waited for an official update about 50 Cent's condition and whether King Harris would face serious legal consequences. By sunrise, the story had become one of the biggest headlines in entertainment news. A legendary rapper like 50 Cent sitting in the ICU after a fight with the son of T.I. was the kind of story that instantly captured worldwide attention. With King Harris still in custody, T.I. negotiating with lawyers, and 50 Cent recovering in the hospital, the situation was far from over. In fact, investigators believe the most important details about the confrontation had not yet been revealed. Because behind the scenes, police were preparing to review surveillance footage from outside the club, footage that could finally show exactly what happened during the moment when King Harris and 50 Cent clashed in front of hundreds of witnesses. And according to insiders familiar with the investigation, that footage might completely change the story everyone thought they already knew. As the investigation into the violent confrontation continued, the entire hip-hop community waited anxiously for updates about 50 Cent, whose condition had become the center of attention after the chaotic fight outside the Atlanta club. Inside the hospital, doctors were still closely monitoring 50 Cent after the private injury he reportedly suffered during the altercation with King Harris. Although medical staff confirmed that 50 Cent was stable, the seriousness of the injury forced doctors to keep him under observation for several more hours before considering discharge. Members of 50 Cent's team remained stationed outside the ICU room, speaking quietly among themselves while security ensured that reporters and curious fans stayed far away from the floor. Meanwhile, across the city, investigators were finally reviewing surveillance footage from the club's security cameras. The video was expected to reveal exactly how the confrontation between King Harris and 50 Cent escalated into a physical fight. Detectives gathered inside a small monitoring room, replaying the footage again and again while carefully examining every movement captured on camera. In the video, 50 Cent could be seen leaving the club surrounded by security, moving toward his vehicle while fans gathered around with their phones raised. Moments later, King Harris appeared in the frame, walking directly toward 50 Cent with several friends behind him. The The footage reportedly showed King Harris confronting 50 Cent while shouting angrily, clearly upset about something that had been said earlier involving T.I. Investigators noticed that security guards immediately tried to step between King Harris and 50 Cent, but the argument continued growing louder as both men exchanged heated words. According to sources familiar with the footage, 50 Cent appeared calm at first, but he eventually responded verbally to King Harris, which caused the tension to rise even further. Witnesses in the video could be seen turning their phones toward the argument, sensing that the situation was about to explode. Then came the moment investigators were most interested in. The video showed King Harris suddenly moving forward during the argument. Security guards attempted to react, but the movement happened so quickly that they were unable to fully stop the confrontation. During the brief struggle that followed, the footage showed 50 Cent stepping backward while holding his body in visible pain. Even though the exact details of the injury were difficult to see on camera due to the crowd and security blocking parts of the view, detectives concluded that the critical moment likely occurred during that short burst of physical contact between King Harris and 50 Cent. While detectives analyzed the video, King Harris remained inside the police station waiting for further questioning. Sources say King Harris had become quieter compared to the intense anger he displayed earlier in the night. Lawyers representing the Harris family had arrived and were now advising King Harris on how to handle the situation legally. Although King Harris still believed he was defending his father's honor after the alleged disrespect toward T.I., the reality of the situation was becoming clearer. With 50 Cent hospitalized and surveillance footage under review, the possibility of formal charges was becoming very real. Not long after the footage review began, T.I. was reportedly briefed by lawyers about what investigators had discovered so far. According to sources close to the situation, T.I. looked deeply frustrated while listening to the details about the confrontation between King Harris and 50 Cent. Friends say T.I. understood that emotions had run high because of the ongoing tension between his family and 50 Cent, but he also realized the situation had now grown into something much bigger than a simple argument outside a club. Back at the hospital, 50 Cent had finally regained enough strength to speak with members of his team. Sources claim 50 Cent described the confrontation with King Harris, explaining that he never expected the situation to turn physical so quickly. Even though 50 Cent had experienced many public feuds throughout his career, this incident had clearly caught him off guard. Doctors continued checking his condition, ensuring that the injury he suffered would not require additional medical procedures before allowing him to leave intensive care. At the same time, social media was exploding with reactions to the shocking clash between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. Fans across the world debated who was responsible for the fight. Some supporters of 50 Cent argued that King Harris should face consequences for attacking a legendary rapper. Others defended King Harris, claiming he reacted emotionally after hearing comments about his father T.I. Regardless of where people stood, one thing was certain: the conflict between 50 Cent and the Harris family had suddenly become one of the most talked about stories in entertainment. Inside the police station, investigators continued interviewing witnesses who had been present outside the club during the confrontation. Each statement added another piece to the complicated puzzle of what happened that night. Some witnesses insisted that King Harris was already extremely angry before 50 Cent even walked outside, while others believed the argument escalated only after the two men began exchanging insults. Detectives knew that understanding those early moments of the confrontation would be crucial when determining whether King Harris acted intentionally or simply lost control during a heated exchange. As morning approached, legal discussions around the case intensified. Lawyers for King Harris argued that the confrontation should be treated as a brief fight fueled by emotion rather than a criminal assault. However, investigators emphasized that the severity of 50 Cent's injury meant they had to take the incident very seriously. The final decision regarding charges would depend heavily on the surveillance footage, witness testimony, and the medical report describing the injury that 50 Cent suffered during the fight. By this point, the entire situation had evolved far beyond a typical celebrity argument. With 50 Cent recovering in the hospital, King Harris facing possible legal trouble, and T.I. working desperately with lawyers to protect his son, the future of the feud remained uncertain. But behind closed doors, investigators were preparing to deliver their official findings, a decision that could determine whether King Harris would walk free or face serious legal consequences for what happened during those chaotic moments outside the club. And according to insiders familiar with the case, the next announcement from authorities could completely change the direction of the story involving 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I., potentially turning a night of anger and confrontation into a legal battle that might follow all three names for a long time. By the time the sun rose over Atlanta, the entire situation involving 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. had turned into a full-blown national headline. News channels, blogs, and social media pages were all focused on the same question. What would happen next after the violent confrontation that left 50 Cent hospitalized and King Harris in police custody? Fans across the world were refreshing their phones every few minutes, waiting for updates about 50 Cent's condition and whether King Harris would officially be charged for the incident. Inside the hospital, doctors had finally completed a full examination of 50 Cent. According to sources close to the situation, medical staff confirmed that the injury he suffered during the altercation was painful, but not life-threatening. Even though 50 Cent had been placed in intensive care for monitoring earlier in the night, doctors now believe he would make a full recovery with time and rest. When members of 50 Cent's team heard the update, the tension that had filled the hospital hallway for hours finally began to ease. Several people close to 50 Cent reportedly contacted family members and business partners to let them know that the rapper was stable. Not long after receiving the medical update, 50 Cent was able to sit up and speak more clearly with his team. Witnesses say 50 Cent looked exhausted but alert while discussing what had happened outside the club with King Harris. According to those present, 50 Cent told his team that he had no intention of turning the confrontation into a long-term street conflict. But he also made it clear that the situation should never have reached that level. Even though 50 Cent had built a reputation throughout his career for confronting rivals directly, this incident had clearly caught him by surprise. Meanwhile, at the police station, the atmosphere surrounding King Harris had grown more serious. After reviewing surveillance footage and witness statements, investigators were preparing their final report about the confrontation between King Harris and 50 Cent. Lawyers representing King Harris were working intensely behind the scenes, arguing that the entire situation happened during a heated argument and should not be treated as a criminal assault. However, investigators continued to emphasize that 50 Cent's hospitalization made the case far more complicated. During the morning hours, T.I. remained inside the station alongside legal advisors while waiting to hear the official decision from authorities. Sources say T.I. appeared deeply frustrated and worried as the situation unfolded. For T.I., the night had quickly transformed from a typical celebrity dispute into a serious legal issue involving his son King Harris and one of the most recognizable rappers in the world, 50 Cent. Several people close to T.I. reported that he repeatedly asked lawyers whether the surveillance footage would help or hurt King Harris's case. Eventually, investigators entered the room where King Harris was being held and informed him that the situation was still under review. Although King Harris would not immediately face the most serious charges possible, the investigation would remain open while authorities waited for the final medical report regarding 50 Cent's injury. Lawyers quickly began negotiating for King Harris's release while promising that he would cooperate fully with investigators if further questioning became necessary. When T.I. finally saw King Harris again after hours of uncertainty, witnesses say the rapper immediately pulled his son aside for a serious conversation. According to sources nearby, T.I. warned King Harris that situations like the confrontation with 50 Cent could destroy careers and reputations if they continued escalating. Even though King Harris had been furious earlier in the night, the long hours inside the police station seemed to have cooled his anger. Friends say King Harris appeared quieter and more reflective while listening to his father speak. At the same time, the story continued dominating headlines around the world. Videos of the argument between King Harris and 50 Cent outside the club had now been viewed millions of times online. Fans and commentators continued debating the incident, analyzing every frame of the footage in an attempt to understand exactly how the fight escalated so quickly. Some believe King Harris had reacted emotionally to protect his father's reputation, while others argued that confronting someone like 50 Cent in public was guaranteed to lead to trouble. Later that afternoon, representatives for 50 Cent finally released a brief statement confirming that the rapper was recovering and expected to leave the hospital soon. The message did not directly mention King Harris or T.I., but it did thank fans for their support while emphasizing that 50 Cent was focusing on recovery. Within minutes, the update spread across social media, calming many fans who had been worried about the rapper's health since the first reports of the incident appeared. Behind the scenes, however, many insiders believe the tension between 50 Cent and the Harris family was far from finished. The confrontation involving King Harris, T.I., and 50 Cent had already drawn massive attention from the music industry, and conflicts like this rarely disappear overnight. Whether the situation would cool down or explode again in the future remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: the events outside that Atlanta club had permanently connected the names 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. in one of the most dramatic celebrity confrontations of the year. As the day came to an end, King Harris was eventually released while the investigation remained open. T.I. left the station with his legal team, and 50 Cent continued recovering in the hospital under medical supervision. The immediate chaos of the night had finally settled, but the story was far from over. In the world of hip-hop, where pride, reputation, and loyalty often collide, the fallout from the clash between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. could still unfold in unexpected ways in the weeks ahead. If you want more updates about 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I., make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss the next update. This situation between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. is still developing, and new details could come out at any moment. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think King Harris was defending his father T.I., or did the fight with 50 Cent go too far? Let us know what you think. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends so they can hear the full breakdown of what really happened between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. Stay tuned, because we'll be bringing you the latest updates and the real truth behind the drama involving 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I.